over these past few years, we've been restoring the synagogue and putting together the exhibitions for our soon to be opened visitor center, hopefully in the not too distant future. And one of the things that we found are all kinds of mysteries and answered some questions, created new questions to be answered. And one of those mysteries has to do with these candlesticks. And so I'm going to share with you now a video that I recorded a year ago, but never put out in the public, about these candles. But stick around to the end, because at the end I'm going to share with you a bit of a mystery that we're trying to solve, and I'm hoping maybe somebody watching this video can help us answer it.
For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the lights that are around the Hechal and around the Teba. These are important lights. Imagine that they had some practical purpose to making sure there was light, as people were going to take out the Torah or leading the prayers on the Teba. But at the same time, it seems that it also is really just symbolic. Even when we pray here in the daytime, we light these two candles. So while we won't light the chandeliers for a daytime service, we do always light the candles that are around the Hechal, around the Teba. And it seems that it's part of just signifying that the prayers are going to be recited. And so they're not necessarily so much for the light, but part of kind of the significance of these two locations. Of course, the Hechal being where the Torah is kept, and the Teba where it is that we either read from the Torah or where the prayers are being recited from. These candles themselves have a bit of a history to them. Along the base of all of them, it says the word Pereira, the name Pereira, which of course is the name of the family that had originally donated them. That's still the name that you find within the Portuguese community. And so it was quite a big family going back to the very beginning of the different Portuguese communities. Unfortunately, in the 1970s, one of our members came to the synagogue Shabbat morning to find that all of these candles, all of these brass candles were gone. Someone had broken into the synagogue and stolen them, and the community was, of course, quite distraught. They were already thinking about, can they make duplicates of them to replace them? And there had actually been an article in the Jewish Chronicle about it, kind of letting people know. So happened that the people who had stolen the brass had brought the brass to a metal scrap dealer to sell them. Little did they know that that scrap dealer was a Jewish person who had read the Jewish Chronicle, and so knew about this story, recognized what in fact they were, and so he asked them to just wait there while he would go into the back to kind of calculate the value of the brass. But of course, called the police and was able to get the brass candles saved and to ensure they'd be able to be brought back. The name of that fellow was Lebret, and a number of years ago we actually had his grandson here in the synagogue who brought with him a letter that had been given to his grandfather on that occasion, thanking him. I think there was even a dinner here in his honor, thanking him for saving the brass pieces. Members of our community said that what had happened was, so then all the brass was brought to one of the local police stations, and they basically were given a cell where they had all the pieces of brass, and they actually were asked to kind of put them all back together to make sure that they actually had all of the pieces. And so there in the jail cell, they actually kind of rebuilt all of the pieces of the chandelier. They're actually different pieces that are twisted together, and so thankfully the brass was saved. The candles were able to be restored. We still have them today, and now we have a very good security system to make sure that something like that never happens again. But it always adds a certain feel to the synagogue when these candles are lit, that the tefillah, that the prayers are there. Of course, fire itself is spiritual, right? Everything from gravity comes down, but fire always goes up. And so I think it also evokes that feeling of, just as the flame is, ascending, that so too we pray that our prayers too should be ascending to heaven. And so I wish you all a very good day and speak to you next time.
Now that you've watched that video and learned about these candlesticks, I mentioned that on the candlesticks is the name Pereira. And in fact, we found a painting of an Isaac Pereira, who was a very wealthy merchant here in London at the end of the 17th century, who was a parnas in the community at the time that Bevis was built. And so it's very likely him whose name appears on the base of these candlesticks. His painting had actually gone missing for quite a long time. It was stolen out of our sister synagogue, and only recently was it rediscovered. Several other paintings also went missing, and we're still searching for them. So if anybody comes across these paintings, please do let us know or inform the police. But at the bottom of these pillars, not only does it have the name Pereira, it also has several initials. It has the initials DK, it has the initial PM, and it also has the initial ampersand R. And I've been looking in the records to try to figure out what are these initials. I haven't found them associated with the Pereira name. Maybe they actually are a relative, and I've kind of hit a brick wall, as it were, in trying to identify what these letters represent. So if any of you watching knows what the letters at the bottom of these candlesticks mean, whose names presumably they represent, please do let me know. I'll be very happy to feature your answer in an upcoming video. Thank you so much, and have a good day.